afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I trust we're doing great. Okay, the agenda for this webinar today, like Jose said, the topic is DevOps for startups, best practices and tools, and we'll be looking at what DevOps is, DevOps lifecycle, the practices and tools, and the benefits of DevOps, and then we'll conclude from there. Okay, thank you. So I'll start by saying that, for any startup business or any startup company, one of the major challenge they have in the building of their business or in the journey is having like a tight budget. Their concern is, okay, my budget is tight. There's no so much money to just, spend around like that. You want to maximize the money you have. You have limited resources, and you're looking to rapidly, develop your business. You want something that in a matter of few months, you have expanded, you're growing, your customer base is growing, you're not limited in any way. So that's any concern of any startup business. Tight budgets, rapid development, you're looking at limited resources and all of that. In all of this, DevOps practice has emerged as a major framework that can be used to solve some of these concerns. And contrary to the misconception that DevOps is basically for large enterprise, we will see from this webinar today that it's DevOps can be used as a major tool for startups. It has a significant advantage for startups by streamlining your processes. It can help you enhance your product quality. It can help you accelerate the time the product or services get to the market or your end users. So we'll see that from what we'll be discussing today. So what is DevOps? DevOps is simply development team and operations team coming together, working together, integrating both. So a software engineering methodology which aims to integrate the work of your development team and that of your operations team in such a way that they have a culture of collaboration and shared responsibility. Imagine that you're trying to build a solution for your business, and these two teams are supposed to be part of the team that will build the solution for your project. And then the development team starts their own part of the project or solution building, and they've completed their own part, and then they pass on the whole thing to the operations team to work with to continue their part. And by the time the operations team receive it, they're like, oh, we can't use this part of the solution you built. We can't use this part of what you have constructed. I think this cannot work for us. This is too much. This is not enough, and all of that. And they have to return the whole thing back to the operation, to the development team. And these ones will be like, you mean you can't use this? And so time has been wasted, resources has been wasted, money has been wasted, their energy has been wasted. They're likely to even get discouraged because they're like, with all of the effort and money and all sorts that we put into this, you're saying you can't use it, or we need to start over, this does not work for you, and all of that. So that's what DevOps try to solve. It means both teams coming together from the start of the project to the finished part of the project. They have to work from the creation, the brainstorming of the project till the project is finished and it gets to the end user. So this coming together of both of them, we accelerate delivery through automation, collaboration, fast feedback. As they are working on it, if there's an issue, they are communicating with the operations team and like, okay, this is how far we've gone. Can you use this? Do you need adjustment? What do you want us to put in place for you to be able to use when it gets to you, and all of that? So fast feedback, and that of course will lead to improvement. So in adopting a DevOps development process, you're making a decision to improve the flow and the value of value delivery of your application by encouraging a more collaborative environment at all stages of the development cycle. So it is not that, okay, a stage is completed without the other team. Both teams are involved in all the stages from the start to the finish. So we're going to be looking at all the stages in what I call the DevOps, in what is called the DevOps life cycle. Next slide, please. Okay, so the DevOps life cycle, it represents a continuous integrated flow of practice that will help your team to build, test, and deliver a reliable software that you can use at speed for your project. So each of these stages, flow into the next stage. It's a flow. It's like one has to be done before the other. And we are going to be looking at all the stages in this life cycle. The first stage we'll look at is the one we call discover. Discover is the first stage, the discovery stage. And this stage is the stage where all the teams that are going to be involved in building this solution come together to brainstorm, together with the customer, with you, the business owner, together with members of the organization, the stakeholders in the organization. Everybody come together. This is the brainstorming stage where we put everything on the table. We explore, we prioritize ideas, we try to align our thoughts with the customer's needs and the organizational goals. At this stage is where we have clarity of what the project is about, what problem this solution we want to build is supposed to solve. What is the problem? What is the solution? And how are we going to approach it and all of that? This is the stage where we brainstorm, where we have a clear roadmap of what the solution is supposed to be, of where we are going, what we want to achieve with the solution. That is the discovery stage. Now, this stage feeds into the next stage, which is the planning stage. When we have already discovered, when we have a clear roadmap of, okay, this is what we want to do, and this is the need of the clients, this is the goal of the organization, we have aligned everything, and we see that, okay, this is the problem we want to solve with this solution, then we'll plan. And the planning stage, we use a tool called Agile. We're still going to look at tools. And so in this planning stage is more like a breakdown stage. We want to break down prioritized ideas that we have come up with from the discovery stage into something that is doable, into an actionable thing, in an incremental work, unit. Every department that is supposed to be involved in this, we get to know, okay, this is the front end, this is their part, and this is the back end, this is their part, and the security, this is their part, and the project managers, this is their part, and everybody. So it's like a breakdown. And then at this stage is when we plan, okay, which comes first or what comes first? Which part of the project should, how do we start? Which one comes first? Which one should we address first? And then after this, what comes next? Which unit or which team comes next? And all of that. So this is the stage where we do the breakdown. This is the stage where, we align it and say, okay, this is the first thing, this is the second thing, this is the third thing, until the completion of the project. That is the planning stage. Now, this stage also feeds into the next stage, which is the building stage. Now, this building stage is when your team now start to build their codes. They start to develop their codes. This stage will focus on ensuring a seamless branching. Everybody has taken their part of the project, and then they begin to work. They begin to develop the codes. They begin to do what they need to do in their different teams to ensure that, everything works well, such that by the time it gets to the next stage where everything comes together, there is no failure at any point. So the building stage is a stage where the team starts to develop code and build the necessary things that they need to build for the solution. Okay, and that fits into the next stage, which is the testing stage. This is what we call the continuous integration stage. At this stage, we want to test all that has been done individually. We integrate them, we merge them into a central or a shared repository. So we bring all of these things. That's where our collaboration comes into play again. We have done the individual work at the building stage. Now we are integrating them at the central point, which is the shared repo central unit. And then so we bring all of the different parts together, integrate them together. We see how it aligns, how it aligns with what we expect, the expected behavior. And at this stage, we begin to see, okay, by the time we put them all together, is there any error anywhere? Is there any bug that we need to, debug anywhere? And this is the testing stage, the aligning stage, the integration stage, where we align and ensure that, okay, it's behaving the way it's supposed to behave. If there's any error that needs to be, attended to, is attended to before it gets further down into the pipeline. And this feeds into the next stage, which is the deploy stage. The deploy stage is what we call the continuous deployment stage. Now, at this stage, what you have tested is now released frequently and automatically into the production environment. This production environment is what is open to your users, to your end users. So what has been tested and you have proven that, okay, this works, then you now want to do a gradual rollout, and your team now wants to control, the user access to whatever feature that has been, built into the application. So it enables the team to be able to deliver updates without disrupting the user experience. The example that comes to mind now is the use of WhatsApp. If you remember, there was a time that WhatsApp does not have this edit feature in it. When you type a message and you send it, when it's gone, it's gone. You can't recall it and say you want to edit, except you just send a message. In fact, I remember that then, what we do normally is we will put asterisk and we will now, make the corrections. So, and we'll send it so that the person will know that at this part that, I put asterisk. This particular word wasn't what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to say. And we'll put the corrections. But an improvement came into play without an interruption to the end users. They didn't have to shut down WhatsApp before putting the edit feature into the application. They didn't have to shut down WhatsApp for maybe a day or an hour or something before they can put in that feature. That's one of the advantages that comes with the use of DevOps in building solutions. So that continuous deployment is there. It helps your team to be able to deliver any form of update without necessarily disrupting the user's experience. So our experience was not disrupted. We just noticed that, okay, there's a new feature and it was updated, and we saw that there's a new feature, there's an edit. I didn't have to use asterisk. It just, I can just, click on it, edit it, and then upload it, even though it's within a few minutes. Okay, so that's continuous deployment. Now that fits into the next stage, which is the operate stage, which I call the operation stage. So this stage ensures that there's an ongoing reliable performance of your applications that you have deployed. So at this stage, your team will handle the configuration, will manage infrastructure, will do maintenance and support for the application. So at this stage, you are ensuring that each release operates as intended within your environment. Each release, each update operates as we intended to operate within the environment. So that's what the operating stage does, majorly for maintenance, for support, management of your application or your infrastructure. And that fits into the next stage, which is the observation stage, to observe. So this is the monitoring stage where you monitor and you observe. At this stage, you want to keep track of the system health. You want to keep track of performance. You want to, ensure that any issue in real time is detected quickly and easily and addressed as soon as possible. So this is your monitoring stage. You want to ensure that you can pick issues in real time, errors in real time, complaints in real time, and address them quickly and as quickly as possible. And that feeds into the final stage, which is the continuous feedback. Now, this continuous feedback is whatever feedback you get from your monitoring phase and from customers' input. Maybe a few users have, used, you can do a minute test, and a few users use, and the customer input and your own evaluation of the application or the solution. All of this put together will be another problem to brainstorm on, which goes back all the way into the circle, which is the discovery phase, where all the teams come together and brainstorm on what the problem is, what solution we want to provide to the problem, and all of that. So the feedback from your monitoring phase, from your customers, from your own personal evaluation of the solution and application, all put together becomes another problem to provide solution to, and the whole circle starts all over again from discovery down to plan to build and way down to continuous feedback. It's a continuous thing. So from there, you can build new solutions. You can update previous solutions, update the versions of your applications, or even see new problems that you want to address and build new solutions to, address those problems. So that's how the circle goes. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. We are going to now be looking at the DevOps best practices and tools. What are the practices that DevOps, make use of, and the tools they use, in implementing these best practices? The first one we'll be looking at is CI/CD. That's continuous integration and continuous deployment. So for each of these practices, I'll be mentioning the tools alongside so that we'll understand it's there on our screen. Okay, for continuous integration and continuous delivery, which is the CI/CD. For any startup, like I said earlier, one of the major concerns is how you want to rapidly develop your business in such a way that you can expand in no time. And so one of the things, or one of the ways DevOps can help achieve that, is through the use of continuous integration and development. So it allows for your developers to frequently merge their code into the central repo, like I explained earlier, where they can build and test, where build and test are executed easily. And this will help your development team to address bugs quicker, and they can improve the quality of your software. They can reduce the time it takes to validate and release new software updates, because there is a continuous integration into the solution or the application. And there's a central repo where everybody is working into. And the continuous delivery part will help you, expand upon this, your continuous integration, by, automatically deploying changes that you made to your code into the test, and then finally into the production environment. So it automates the process. It makes it quicker and faster. And, it follows a continuous delivery pipeline where everything, where your automation, your test, your build, your deployment, everything, form like one flow line, one, release workflow, one pipeline where everything is just from at any point in time. It's a single flow. So that is what CI/CD does for you. It automates the flow. It makes it seamless. It makes it quicker. It makes it easy for release of new versions. Make it easy to debug issues. It makes it easy to, integrate new development into the solutions. And the tools that is used for this is, we have Code Pipeline, which is native to AWS. We have Jenkins, which is an open source. Your Code Pipeline, is, it's integrates with code commit, code build, and code deploy, which is like an end-to-end automation for your solution. I mentioned earlier that, a central repo where all of the teams are putting in their codes, their individual work, where they integrate everything and we test everything before we release into the deploy. We said it's a central repo. Now that is called code commit for AWS, for which is native to AWS. We have other ones like GitHub for Git, but for the one native to AWS is code commit. That's the code commit I was talking about when I said your code pipeline integrates well with your code commit, code build, and then code deploy. So the code commit is the repo section, and then the code build where the codes are built and everything is coming together, and then finally it's deployed into whether the test or the production environment. Then another best practice is the use of IAC. IAC is infrastructure as code. This one is to automate the setup of your AWS resources. It will enable a quick, a consistent, and reproducible infrastructure. Okay, I've been using WhatsApp as an example, so I'll still use that. Say you want to easily, your WhatsApp, the code used in building the WhatsApp such that we can see it and interface with it easily like we're doing. Okay, the code used in building that, say you want to reproduce it in another environment easily, all you just need to do is containerize it and then move it to another environment that, that is compatible with whatever container you used. And then you have deployed it easily like that. You don't need to start writing the codes again, or the team start working on it again, writing different codes, integrating everything and all of that. No, easily it is reproducible. That's what IAC does for you. So it's automate the AWS resources. It can ensure that you have, a consistent and reproducible infrastructure, as the case may be. So it's key to minimizing manual intervention. With you using IAC, you don't have to manually provision some things. You want to, and if you are reducing manual intervention, it means that you're avoiding configuration issues. You don't want any human error, so to speak. You want to avoid all of that. So that is what IAC does for you. Whether you're an on-prem data center or you're completely in the cloud, you're having the ability to be able to quickly and consistently provision and configure and also manage your infrastructure, which is key to any DevOps adoption. So what IAC is doing for you is automation. What IAC is doing for you is consistent and reproducible and quick infrastructure. What IAC is doing for you is reducing manual intervention, is avoiding, configuration drifts. And these are benefits that, DevOps will bring to you if you adopt this practice. And the tool used in this is, we have CloudFormation, which is native to AWS. It will help you integrate with your AWS resources seamlessly. We have Terraform, which is a multi-cloud, which has a multi-cloud capabilities. Different cloud providers, can integrate with this Terraform. We have a cloud development kit, which is the CDK, which we call CDK, which will help define your AWS infrastructure using programming languages and so many other tools like SDK as well. Okay, so another best practice is version control. Version control is another best practice of DevOps. And version control is a practice of managing your code in versions. You want to manage your code in versions. You want to be able to track revisions or any changes you made. You want to track history of your work. That is what version control is all about, so that it will make your code easy to review and recover. Like I said, a version of WhatsApp was the one without the edit feature. Another version of it was the one with edit feature. So that's what version control, that is what it does for you. You can easily record the previous version if they want to do an improvement on it and they still do not want the edit feature in whatever they want to do, or you want to use it in, say, another environment. You don't need the edit feature. You can, record the previous one and you can recover it if you have version control in place. So that's what version control does for you. So it allows your developers to be able to collaborate. Somebody can say, okay, I want to work on the previous one that doesn't have this feature, and they can easily pull it out from where it has been kept, which in this case, the tool used for it is code commits, GitHub, GitLabs. So I told us earlier that code commit is the repo, is where we store all of these codes, where we store the different versions of all these code, even the updated versions, we keep it here in code commit or GitHub. So that is what version control does for you, and that's the tool we use in achieving that. Now, the next practice I'll be looking at is microservice. Microservice is a technique where your application is built as a collection of smaller services. A collection of smaller services that can be deployed or operated independent of each other. I think I have an example from earlier that I can use when I was saying you are building something in smaller versions and you pull them together. Okay, Okay, I have these two examples. One is, earlier I mentioned that, okay, in the building phase, you have all the teams working in different, okay, this part, this front end is supposed to do this, back end is supposed to do that. And all of them now come together, integrated. You now integrate all of the work together. That's something like that, microservices, meaning that, okay, you are building your application in smaller services, in smaller units. And then, of course, independent of each other. And then, of course, eventually you have to integrate them together. So that's what microservice is talking about. Another example I can use is, you want to deploy your application in the development area where your developers, first of all, want to deploy it to see if there's any bug and they fix it. Then in the test area, before you finally push it to the production, which is what your users will have interface with. So you want to be able to detect error at different stages before it gets to the end user, so that what you are releasing to the end user is something that is almost perfect, if not perfect. That is what that is doing for you. So because of that, you may decide that you want to put your develop stage in a different account, your test stage in a different account, your pro stage in a different account. Or you want to put them whether in the same account or in different pipelines, such that, okay, you push this pipeline. If it runs through and it's successful, you know that you're good to go. You can move to the next stage. If it's not successful, you can fix it from there before you move it to the next stage. Unlike when everything is in one single pipeline and there is an error, say the error is in prod, but because the error is in prod, by the time you run it, it's failing because it's one thing, it's failing from the start. You can't easily detect where the error is coming from. That is what this does for you, separation of concern. So that's what microservices does for you. And we have tools that are used in this. One of the other advantages that this brings for you is the fact that in the tools that are used, most of them are serverless. Serverless means that you don't need skilled personnel to manage them. They are managed for you by AWS. They are managed for you. And most of them are cost effective. Like I said, sorry, beg your pardon. They're serverless because you don't use servers. You don't deploy servers. So you can build those solutions with them without the use of servers. And if you're using servers, you're spending more because server will cost you more. But these ones are serverless. You're not using server. You're building the same solution with this one. So it's costing you less. And also, like I mentioned earlier, they are managed for you. Most of these services are managed for you by AWS. So you don't need skilled personnel to be able to manage them. So they are managed for you by AWS. They're serverless, so which makes it cost effective for you as a startup. So that's one advantage or one thing you may want to look at when you want to adopt DevOps for building your solutions. And then the tools that are used, Fargate, for example, Lambda, EKS, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service. These are some of the tools that are used for microservices. Okay, another best practice that we need to look at is monitoring. And when you're looking at monitoring, the major thing you want to look at is you want to be able to catch any issue before it can escalate. That is what monitoring is doing for you, basically. You want to be able to detect that there's an issue before it becomes an issue. So your DevOps teams will monitor the entire development lifecycle, from your planning phase to your development phase to the time you integrate, to the time you test, you deploy, and even operations. They are monitoring the entire development lifecycle from start to finish, so that at any stage, if there is an issue, it is easily detected and worked on as soon as possible. So this will allow your team to be able to respond quickly before it begins to impact on your customer experience. So that's what monitoring does for you. And the logging, monitoring and logging. So the logging part is like documentation of whatever is done. Everything that is done is documented, is logged. And this is crucial for you to be able to troubleshoot. You want to find out if you document everything that is done, if there's an issue, you can trace it from your documentation or from your logs that, okay, where is this issue coming from? Okay, this was what I documented I did. Oh, okay, this is where the error is coming from. That's what your logging does for you. So it will help you troubleshoot and optimize your environment. And the tools that you can use to monitor and log, we have CloudWatch, which is native to AWS. You have X-Ray. X-Ray will help you easily detect where the error is coming from, which one has passed, which one is failing, where the failure is coming from. CloudWatch will help you monitor. We also have CloudTree, which will help you detect who did what at what time, for what purpose, and all of that. So those are the tools we use in achieving this best practice for your solution. And then also we have another best practice, which is security. Now, this is very essential. And this is one thing that we are very keen about in secure intelligence, and that's security. From the start of the project or the building of the solution till the finish, security has to be imputed into it. So security is essential. Security is key. Security is from day one. So we implement security from day one of the project. You want to build the principle of least privilege. Least privilege means that we give permissions to only those needed and only the permission needed. So you want to have access to this part of the solution, only permission to that part of the solution you have access to. You're not giving access beyond that stage of the solution. So that's the principle of least privilege. And that is considered from the start of the project. In fact, we're building security into it from the point of the discovery in the life cycle, from the point where we start, brainstorming as to what we need, as to what the solution needs, what solution wants to provide to the problem, and all of that. We start thinking about security. Okay, how do we safeguard this solution from attackers and from, people that are not authorized to have access to some certain parts of solutions when we build it and all of that. From that part of building the solution, the discovery phase, we start imputing security into it. And so securing access points, we want to start monitoring vulnerabilities from day one of building the solutions. So some of the tools that I used is, first of all, we use IAM. IAM is called Identity Access Management. So Identity Access Management is a tool we use in, creating roles and policies to give permissions, to give access to users or resources to have access to other resources within your solutions or within the projects. So we are giving access. This helps give access to who needs the access. So we limit access and give access to necessary people. We can also use secret managers to store your credentials, your password. You want to keep them safe. You want to be able to rotate them at different times. That's what secret manager does for you. You want to use guard duty to monitor for any malicious activities or any unauthorized behavior in your solution or your project. That's what guard duty will do for you. That's another tool. Another tool could be AWS config, which will, help you detect any deviation from best practices. These are some of the tools that we use that is used for security. And then finally, the best practice that I have on my plate today is cost optimization. I know this is vital for any startup. You want to, like I said initially, you are looking at a tight budget, which is a concern for any startup. So you want to optimize costs. You want to ensure that you only have resources that are needed, and you only have, like I said the other time, that you can use some serverless tools that's in place of some tools that need servers to still give you the same thing, and which will be cheaper and things like that. So that's another thing we are keen about. We can help you look at as an organization, when we know that, okay, you are a startup, we know your budget, we give advice as to, okay, these are the solutions that can, achieve this for you and, help you maximize costs. We can help you look at that. So you want to keep an eye on your AWS costs, especially as you are growing as a business. So some of the tools that can help you achieve that we can look at for you, we have Cost Explorer, AWS Cost Explorer. This will help you, have an insight into how you spend. It helps you have an insight into your spending, allow you to identify, and analyze your spending pattern. You help you identify, okay, which resources are costing you more and which are not costing you more. And then we begin to see, okay, which one do we need to remove? Which one can it be replaced with and will have the same result or even a better result and all that. Another tool you can use is AWS Budget. Budget can help you set an alert for spending limits. So say you have a spending limit of $1,000 per month. And with budget, you can set an alarm that, okay, when I get to 500, when I get 700 or 800 at this time of the month, or when I have this amount, please alert me so that we can know that, oh, we're already spending so much. We begin to look at the resources we use and see which one we need to, step down, which one we need to change, which ones are not needed, that needs to be removed and things like that. So AWS Budgets can be used as a tool here. AWS Trusted Advisor is also another tool that can be used among so many other tools. Now, these are the best practices and tools available that can be used by DevOps. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. Okay, so we are going to be looking at benefits. Okay, some of these items I have on benefits have already been mentioned in the presentation already. So, but I will still just highlight a few of them. We talk about speed. Speed is a major benefit. Speed in terms of the rate of deployment of your application or solutions to your end users, and the rate of deployment of updates or versions into your into the previous versions, which also speaks into the CI/CD, continuous integration and deployment. So you have speed, automation that has been imputed into all of this. So with DevOps, with all these practices and tools, you are sure to have speed. You are sure to have easy and rapid deployment of solutions and updates to your end users. You're sure to, this will improve collaborations. I said earlier that, with DevOps, you're not separating, the different teams, and, they are not working completely independently. In the building stage, maybe yes, but even at that, they are working together at every stage to ensure that, okay, before I move on to the next phase of my work, I'm, integrating other units or other teams, and like, okay, are these things, because their work is going to also integrate into what you're doing. So before I move to the next stage, does this work for you? Can you work with this? Does it integrate? Can it integrate with what you have? And at every, it's been built into it. I told us from start to finish, quality and reliability. There's this saying that many heads are better than one. If many heads are coming together to build a solution, of course, that there is quality that will be built into it, especially when it's many heads of different specialty, but coming together to work together at different points. The monitoring and management, cost effectiveness. With DevOps, you're sure to, cut off some excesses, cut off some time wasting processes and all of that. So that can be achieved with DevOps, and then increased efficiency. These are benefits that comes with using the solution. In adopting DevOps as an approach with AWS can accelerate growth. It can boost your productivity. It can, optimize cost for your startup. So if you leverage on these tools, you can be sure that you can have the best for your solution. You can be sure that you can, you know, you can maximize the money you have. Your concern of, you know, tight budgets can be addressed. Your concern of rapid development can be addressed. Your concern of, you know, limited resources can be addressed, because with the use of DevOps, it can help you, you know, adopt practices that can help you address all of these concerns, help you, you know, use tools that can meet your needs as a startup and still be cost effective, and, you know, still be highly scalable for a rapid, you know, development that you are looking at for your business. So, and for your business growth. So DevOps is, I would say that's a very important will I call it team or tool or practice that you can adopt as a startup for rapid development for your business. You can leverage on it for your business, and you'll be glad you did. And we at CIL, we can help you, you know, we can help you achieve this. We can help you, you know, break down this. We can help you build solutions that, using these DevOps practices and tools, to build these solutions that can help your business and that can help you expand in no time. And it can help you be out there in no time. Okay, these are all the points I have to explain what DevOps can do for you as a startup, and the best practices and tools. And I'm open to questions. Thank you. All right,
thank you very much, Jumoke, for that insightful webinar. We really appreciate it. If you know you enjoyed this webinar as much as I did, if you've gotten a thing or two about DevOps for startups, you can as well just let us know by reacting to this webinar. Let's know that you've actually enjoyed this webinar. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. And as we said at the start of the webinar, your questions and comments are very much welcome. All right, so at this point, we'll be taking a few questions. We'll be taking a few questions from the Q&A section. So I'll just be going over some of the questions that have already been asked. All right, so one question we have here is, what are some of the most common mistakes that startups make when implementing DevOps, and how can they avoid these mistakes?
Okay, some of the common mistakes that startups make is that one is that, you know, they just treat DevOps as just a tool instead of a cultural shift. You know, I mentioned earlier that collaboration is key if you want to use DevOps, because that's one of the advantages it brings to you, so that it can help you save cost and resources and time. So collaboration is key. So they make the mistake of seeing it as a tool instead of, you know, a culture of collaboration. So to avoid it is just to focus on building a collaborative culture between the teams. You want to build, you want to ensure that they work together from start to finish. That will be good for your business. It will be good for building your solutions, and it will definitely be good for for you and for your business. And another mistake they make is the mistake of, you know, documenting the processes and, you know, monitoring from start of the whole project till finish. So majorly to avoid that, you want to document all the processes from start to finish. You don't want to wait till the end of the project, to the end of building the solution before the processes are documented. Every step of the way, everything should be documented. Monitoring should be done from the beginning to the end of the project. These are some of the mistakes that I think, or I've seen and observed that they make. And these are ways I feel they can avoid them. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that very interesting answer. I think we've gotten the answer we need from that question. I'll just be taking a few more questions. All right, so the next question is, we have a question. It says, as a startup grows, its DevOps needs will evolve. So what key factors should startups keep in mind as they scale their DevOps practices and tools?
Take that question again.
Said, as a startup grows, its DevOps needs will evolve, right? So what key factors should startups keep in mind as they scale their DevOps practices and tools? Scaling
Okay,
your
key
DevOps.
factor they need to keep in mind to scale their DevOps tools. Okay. With DevOps, one of the major things is to design pipelines or infrastructure for scalability from the start. So infrastructures that should be used should be the type that is easily scalable. Like I mentioned earlier, the concern of any startup is how rapidly they can develop, they can grow. No startup wants to stay years before they expand, before they grow, before they be in the global market and all of that. Every startup wants to be able to expand. And you don't want a situation where, as you're growing and suddenly there's a spike and there is no means of being able to meet clients' needs, and there is now shutdowns or delay on your site, the site to your applications or to your business and all. So you're looking at infrastructures that can easily be scalable. So that's one of the key factors that DevOps usually will look at or adopt in helping to build your solutions. Something scalable from start has to be imbibed or imputed into building the solution. Regularly you want to evaluate tool usage and upgrade based on growth. So the tool that is being used now, your DevOps team, is not that, if you remember, I said that it's a circle that is continuous. So it's not a team, which we do at CIL anyways. If you work with us, it's something that will be with you every step of the way. We don't just build solutions for you and just leave you to it. We'll be with you every step of the way. If you want us to help you manage it, we'll manage it every step of the way. We handle the operations. We'll manage it every step of the way, such that we, evaluate tool usage every now and then. When there is need to upgrade, we upgrade, or we bring it to your attention, there is need to upgrade for growth. Apart from the fact that we have used some, scalable tools in building your solutions. So also another thing that DevOps, can adopt or do is key factors that can be considered rather is the fact that, there is need to invest in the team for training, for, advanced tools and processes and all of that. So the team, needs to develop their skills in using advanced tool, because every now and then there are changes, there are developments, there are new things coming up. So even team needs to develop their skills in using these new tools, keeping abreast of new updates and tools that can be used in building solutions for clients, so that they can have, the best solution and best experience as possible. And then the use of infrastructure as code that I mentioned earlier will enable consistency and repeatability, reproducibility of your solutions in probably a different environment, and for improvement as well. So these are some of the key factors that can be used to, scale any project that any startup can use through DevOps. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for that very insightful answer. I believe we have just one more question. I'll just be taking one more question. So for startups that are deciding between cloud services and on-premise infrastructure, what factors should influence their decision in context of DevOps? Right. I don't know if you got that question.
Yes, I did. Well, we said startups, except if it's a startup that has all the money in this life. And then, because it takes a lot to want to do on-prem. It takes a lot. You want for on-prem, the infrastructure, you have to have the space, you have to have, at times the data, you have to have the data center, you have to have, you have to employ skilled personnel to manage your infrastructure. You have to, a lot of things goes into it, and it takes time. It's not, it's not as quick as when you go the way of cloud. with cloud, you are paying for what you use. You don't need a data center. You don't need, to have a place for your data center for putting your infrastructure. You don't even need skilled personnel, so to say. You don't need so many of them. If you need at all, maybe very few to manage your resources. But some of those resources, some things are done or automated for you, as you use serverless solutions. Some are managed for you, and so that reduced a lot of things, a lot of stress for you. So except it's a startup, like I said, that has all the money and you feel you want to, because with what the major advantage with on-prem is that you have control over it. You have control, you're the one in charge. So you have greater control, unlike when you're in the cloud. Like I said, some things are managed for you. So aside that, maintenance or upfront investment or everything comes from you. But if you're a startup that you have, you're looking at your money as in the cost, you have a tight budget, you have limited resources, and you want to still get the best way to go is the cloud. The best way to go is the cloud. We at CIL, we can help you choose the best resources that we can use in building your solutions. And then you are sure of security. You are sure that, your solution is being managed by the best. You don't have anything to worry about. You have the best for agility. You have speed. That's what cloud offers you. Scalability. You can easily scale. With on-prem, if you want to scale, you may need to buy more physical infrastructure into your data center. But with the cloud, if you want to scale, it's just buying the infrastructure in the cloud like that. Within minutes, it's bought. And then you're only paying for what you are using. You're not paying for what you don't need. So any startup, I will always advise that you go the way of cloud, except you want to fully be in control and you don't mind the time, because with on-prem, it's going to take time. And then you don't mind all of the stress of maintenance, having skilled personnel, so many of them to manage your resources and all of that. You can go the way of on-prem, but the advice is always the cloud, and you have the best hands to manage them. So thank you.
All right, so thank you very much once again, Jumoke. I'm sure we have all learned something today as regards DevOps for startups, as regards the best practices and tools we can use to integrate DevOps into our businesses. All right, so with that, we'd like to say thank you again, Jumoke. Thank you for that insightful webinar. All right, so if you are here and you're one of these startups or businesses that are looking to integrate DevOps into your businesses, or you're trying to scale globally by integrating DevOps into your already established enterprises, CIL is here for you. CIL team is here for you. And like Jumoke rightly said, we not only help you integrate this DevOps environment, we also help you manage it. All right. And thanks to our multi-cloud competence, we are able to utilize resources that are scalable and will definitely ensure growth for your business or your product. And if you're also here and you're new to the cloud environment, new to the tech space, you are not left out. All right. Secure Intelligence Limited also have our academy, which we call CIL Academy, which is responsible for training tech individuals like yourself. All right. So we have our Zero to Techie programs, which takes you from a level of zero knowledge to an expert level in the tech space. All right. We also have our AWS instructor-led trainings, which also provides you with the needed AWS training that you need in your tech career. We also have our AWS Skill Builder and other offerings as well, including Biz Labs, to help you prepare for your tech certificate examinations as well. So if you are one of these individuals, if you need any of these services, do well to click on the link in the Q&A section. All right, and you'll also be receiving an email. You have to watch out for an email of this webinar replay. We'll also have a link to book a consultation with us and get started with us. All right, so with that, we've come to the end of today's webinar. So do well to follow us on our social media handles, reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, or even LinkedIn. Thank you very much for spending the last hour with us. We truly appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day.